After conducting a successful camp at Khonsa, the next destination for our camp was at a place called Longding. We were going to carry the same equipments, the eye drops, the glasses. We made a few changes from whatever we learned from the first camp. So a few modifications and we set off from Pune. From Pune to Dibrugarh, Dibrugarh to Tinsukia, Tinsukia to Longding. It was quite a smooth ride. The roads were very easy. We reached Longding in the evening. As usual, the Vivekananda Kendra volunteers and villagers, they were there to receive us and help us set up all the equipment for the examination room. Next day at 8 o'clock in the morning was the inauguration of the camp. This time, to do the inauguration, Madam Jeshtha Yadav, who was the DC or the district commissioner of that place, she came there. She learnt about the work that we are doing and everything about the camp. In her inaugural speech, she said, Dr. Dikshit, you have asked for nothing from us. In fact, the government has given a lot of funds for the Northeast. So we have funds all right, but we don't have manpower. But after seeing the work that you are doing and all these probable expenses which you have incurred, I am declaring from the dais that I will reimburse all these expenses from the Commissioner's office. When she said that, I really thought about all the previous experiences, the Thungon Sahib, airports, and a famous Hindi statement came to my mind. अगर आप कोई भी चीज़ पूरा दिल लगाकर और कोई अच्छा काम करने जाओ तो पूरी कायनात आपका साथ देती है. If you decide to do some good work, some noble work, and that too with full passion, the whole universe stands with you. We reached the place where we were supposed to stay in Longding for the camp at about 7:30 in the evening. As usual, it was pitch dark. We reached that place, but we just couldn't see any house or any building where one could go and live. We got down and caught hold of one watchman. We asked him that we have come to conduct an eye camp, we are doctors. So do you have any idea where we are supposed to stay? He just pointed in one direction. आपको वहाँ पे रहना है. I looked over there. It was a construction going on, a dilapidated building with lots of bamboos and huge steel rods lying outside. There was a very small gap through which me and Naina somehow managed to go inside. There was no electricity. He took us to the room where we were supposed to stay. We entered the room. On the bed where we were supposed to sleep, I saw that it was full of glass pieces. I looked up and I saw with a torch, we were carrying a torch, we as eye doctors always have a torch with us. I saw that the window which was overlooking the bed, the glass was shattered and those glass pieces were on the bed. We cleared the bed of the glass pieces. When I looked around, the floor was full of dirt because construction work was going on there. The next day, after we had finished the day's work, me and Naina went to that small bazaar and we got hold of 2 broomsticks. We came back and cleaned the room ourselves. That night the watchman came and he gave us 1 bucket of water. He said, Sir, this much amount of water is what we can give you for the next 4 days. I just didn't know how to respond. But me and Naina, we thought, well, if these individuals, they can stay like this, even we'll manage to stay. We have decided to come and work over here. We will do the work, whatever amenities are provided to us. The camp started the next day. By now we had learnt what is the pattern of the patients who come to us. One group was small school-going children. When I examined them, some of them of course had a number for glasses, but they were never checked before. Now there was a child who had a large number and I put spectacles on his face. When he looked at the vision chart, for the first time he could go right from the top to the bottom. Otherwise he could hardly see the top letter. He looked around, his parents were sitting on the bench nearby, And for the first time, he saw their faces clearly. For him, whatever his vision was previously was supposed to be normal vision. He didn't know that one can see better than that. But the smile that he had on his face when he could see all the letters, I cannot forget that. I'll tell you, if I do the most intricate surgery in Pune, the amount of pleasure that I get, the pleasure seeing the smile on the face of that small child was 10 times more. The other group were adults, 40, 50 years old. They came. Their main difficulty was inability to read. I remember there was a 50-year-old lady who came, and she said that she used to do beadwork. Arunachal Pradesh is very famous for beautiful beadwork, and she said that she can't work now. So I checked her, I gave her +2 numbered glasses, and instead of seeing the vision chart, she had brought the beads with her. And she saw the beads very clearly. She was very happy, not just because she'll be able to do the beadwork, but she used to teach the beadwork to villagers, the women over there. So being able to see that brought back her livelihood. Then there were of course old people, many of them having cataracts. We examined them and we had made pre-arrangements with hospitals, like a hospital in Dibrugarh or a hospital in Guwahati, or there is a place called Tezu in Arunachal Pradesh, where we would send these patients. The Vivekananda Kendra people would take them to these hospitals, they would get operated, they would stay there for 2 days, and again in the group the volunteers brought them to the village from where they went back to their respective homes. Besides these villagers who would come to us to get examined in the eye camp, we encountered a lot of Jawans coming from battalions which were positioned nearby, like the Assam Rifles, which has a big presence in that area, some Jawans from the Kumaon regiment. They used to come to get some problems sorted out. You know, working in those areas, it was impossible for them to leave the battalion and go somewhere to get checked. It was really a great pleasure for me and Naina to treat and examine those Jawans from the army. A lot of old patients whom we referred for cataract surgery had what we call as mature cataract. That means they could hardly see anything at all. They couldn't even navigate themselves. But they thought that's the end of their life. Because they were not examined, they did not know that they have an ailment which can easily be treated successfully and their vision can be restored. But if you don't get examined, if you don't get guided what to do, you are going to stay just like that. I realized that in solving all these problems, what I was doing was just a medium. Frankly speaking, the volunteers of Vivekananda Kendra and the villagers, they should take more than 50% of the credit. At the end of the third day, when we had totally finished the work at Longding, the villagers said, "Doctor, would you like to come and meet the leader of our village?" I said, "Okay, let's go to his house." They told me that they call him Raja, the king of the village. I said, "All right, we would be very happy to visit your Raja." I thought that we might see some nice little palace over there. So we accompanied them and went to that king's place. There was no palace. It was a tiny house. In fact, the entrance was so short that we had to bend down and go inside. We went inside, but of course inside he had some things like a refrigerator, a cooking range, which I had never seen in anybody's house in Arunachal Pradesh. As we went in, the king and his wife, they said, "Please come to our drawing room." I said, "Okay." We went to the drawing room, we opened the door, we looked inside, and there were shelves full of human skulls. I was stunned. I was speechless. I didn't know what to say. But then I thought, well, all states in India have their own culture, and the king actually told me, "Dr. Saab, these are my trophies." You can imagine what I must have felt. That was the story of Longding. Then the next camp was planned at a place called Waka. Waka is a very tiny village, much smaller than Longding, but really right on the border of Myanmar. So we were to set off for Waka for the next camp. But a life-threatening and thrilling experience was waiting for us at Waka.